Hello everybody, this is Nick Coleman, headshot photographer, and today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about retouching. I had a couple of clients recently that were asking me basic questions about retouching, and I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to make a video to talk to people about it. Now, I want to say right off the bat, this is not a how-to video. This is not how to retouch photos. This is a photographer talking to actors about why you need retouching, what's a good idea, what's a bad idea, and what to talk to your photographer about when you have your own retouching done. So in the interests of not making anybody feel bad, I thought I would retouch a picture of me. That way nobody can say, oh my God, why did you pick on me? So I'm going to pick on me today. This photo was taken by the fantastically talented photographer Dave Cross, who is a photographer here in New York. He's a mentor of mine and an all-around nice guy. So let's just jump right in. So the first thing that happens whenever I'm looking at a photo and retouching it is I want to make sure that the exposure is correct, that's how dark it is and how bright it is, and that the color is correct so that my skin looks the right color, my eyes look the right color. When I'm looking at this picture right now, it to me looks just a little bit flat, and that's because when the photo was taken, the photographer made sure that it wasn't blown out, that it wasn't too dark, so I want to put a little bit of the punch back into the photo. So that's the very first thing that I'm going to do. I'm not going to show you or talk about what these tools are. I'm just going to talk to you about why I'm doing them. Okay, so I'm adjusting right now the contrast in the picture to make sure that it's a little more dramatic. I'll show you before and after as I go so you get an idea of what this does. Alright, so now we have a little bit more contrast in the picture. Before I did this, it looked like that, and now it looks like that. So it's a little darker, there's a little more punch to the picture. The next thing that I'm going to do is just adjust the color a little bit. To me, it's not really, doesn't have enough skin tone in it. It looks just a little bit, well, flat. So my skin is has a little bit more red in it than what is showing up in the picture. And this is going to happen no matter what the photographer does. There will always be little things that can be adjusted in the color. Ideally, you'll want to meet with your photographer in person or your retoucher in person so that they can adjust these things to your skin tone while you're there in the room. Okay, so this looks a little bit better. So before we had this, now we have this. There's just a little bit more red in the picture. I know it's a minor thing, but this looks more like me. It's a more accurate reflection of who I am, and your picture should look exactly like you. So now I'm going to jump in and do some of the more quote-unquote retouchy things. You can get carried away with retouching. I personally recommend taking retouching very lightly. I like to talk about temporary imperfections. If it's something that's always on your skin, if it's something that you always have, you want to leave it. But if it's something that changes from day to day, it's okay to adjust it. In life, we move around a little bit. And when you're moving around and you're active and people are listening to your voice, they're not paying attention to really specific things in your face or in your eyes or whatever. They're paying attention to the overall you. In a headshot, it's frozen in time. And it's 8 inches by 10 inches. That's big. That's a big picture. And people can focus in on things. And that's why we do retouching. We want to adjust things so it reflects what you're actually like. I apologize for the noise that's going on. I'm not at the studio today. I'm at home, and one of my neighbors is doing some renovations, and I think you can kind of hear it a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to talk about some of the little things that you might want to retouch. When it comes to hair, anymore, because retouching is so rampant, everybody does it, people really expect photos to look clean. So in this picture, I mean, I'm going to be really, really picky just so I can talk about it. But maybe I want to adjust some of these little stray hairs that are happening back here. I probably ordinarily wouldn't really mess with this much, but just for the sake of showing you what can be done and why, we'll go ahead and do it. On women, this is going to happen more often than men. You have longer hair, you have these wacky stray hairs that can sometimes come out, and they're just distracting. So we clean it up a little bit. You don't want to make yourself have helmet head or anything, but it's nice sometimes to clean things up. Every once in a while, we get one wacky stray hair. This looks like a gray hair. I don't have gray hair yet, so I want to make sure it doesn't look like I do in the pictures. It's just the way the light caught that one strand, so I'm going to get rid of that. It's just a little distracting. Right here I have like a blemish. Good Lord, that's embarrassing. Get rid of that. Another little blemish there. Another little blemish here. Those are temporary, so get rid of them. Nobody wants to see blemishes. Same thing in there. And if you have little fine lines like this right here, you know, it's up to you. It's up to the person. For me, I don't like to take these out because they're there. They exist. They're real. I might lighten it a little bit because if I feel like I was tensing my brow, maybe that isn't always there. So I'll lighten it a little bit, but I don't want to take it out completely. See? So after I've adjusted it, I'll fade that back in. Whenever you're sitting with your retoucher, you might adjust that with them so that they're sitting there with you and you can say, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, let's leave somewhere around in there. So to me, that's more accurately reflecting what I look like. If I'm furrowing my brow, I'm sure I have a stronger line there, but in general, it's going to be more like that. Other things, you know, little tiny dots in the skin. These things happen if you needed a little bit of lotion or something. I have something in the corner of my eye that's gross. Let's get rid of that. Little tiny things. A little line there. Some little marks on my neck here. It's not a big deal either. You can retouch anything. It's not a question of what can be done. It's more a question of what should be done. And I have people ask me all the time, oh, can you take off weight? Can you make me younger? Can you make me thinner? Sometimes they're joking, sometimes they're not. And the answer is, well, sure, but why would you want to do that? When you walk in a room, a casting director has looked at your picture in advance and said, this picture is who I see cast in this role. So you want to show up looking like the person that they see cast in the role. So if you retouch the crap out of your picture and then show up and you don't look like it, they can't cast you. They wanted to cast the person in the picture, and that person didn't show up in the room. So I'm just smoothing out some of the little tiny redness things that were in my skin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with some of this dark discoloration underneath the eyes here. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if I just didn't sleep the night before Dave did this picture or what, but my eyes are not normally quite this dark. So I'm going to adjust that as well. Now people can get carried away here too. If you paint this area under your eyes so that you look like you're 12 years old, you're getting rid of the character in your face, and that's part of what makes you you. Whenever you're on set, you're going to have a makeup artist that's going to be looking at these things anyway to make sure that you look the way for camera that they want you to look. But in general, you want this to reflect the way you actually look. You know, me, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm getting into the age where these kinds of character lines are what make me me. So I want this stuff to show up a little bit. So you can see I'm adjusting it. I'm making it look like kind of like a baseline of where I think I normally am, but I'm not getting rid of it. Oh, there's a car alarm going off. That's probably really lovely to listen to. So we've lightened that stuff underneath the eyes a little bit. We've gotten rid of some of the blemishes on the skin. The color's been adjusted. Now, sometimes I'll do things like I'll peek through and say, oh, there's little fuzzies on the sweater. Let's get rid of that stuff. Do people really care in a casting room if you have little fuzzy things on your sweater? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they do. But to me, if it's just another thing that's a distraction, let's get rid of it. It's something that just makes the picture look a little less as impressive as it otherwise could. Keep in mind, sometimes you're auditioning against people that are celebrities. I mean, that's a fact. It happens. So you want to look your best, but notice that we're taking care of things that nobody could argue, like, oh well, you shouldn't really take that out. Well, these are little things that no one could argue with. You don't want to take out things that are character defining, just little minor tiny imperfections. I also happen to have a little bit of redness in my eye right here. We're going to adjust that a little bit. I don't want to give away too many of my secrets about how I do this, but I don't like to take even this stuff out completely because, again, it makes things look not real. You don't want things to look fake. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit, really just taking out the most offensive little lines. A little bit of the redness in the eyes. I think that's probably pretty good. I also feel like this eye's a little bit different as far as brightness value, so I'm going to adjust that just a little bit. I don't want to get crazy with anything. A note about your eyes. Some people have asked me if colored contact lenses are appropriate for headshots. I don't think so, no. Because are you going to wear those all the time? Alright, so we've adjusted the eyes just a weensy bit. So this is really about all the retouching I would do to this picture. The only other thing that I might do is my ear is a little bit of red, is a little red right here because the sunlight over here is coming through and giving a little bit of backlight, and that'll make your ears a little red. So I might take just a little bit of that red color out of the ear so it's not so like, hello, I have red ears. But even with that, I don't get carried away. I mean, I'm not going to paint this or anything. It's just adjust it just a weensy bit. So this is about all the retouching I think I would do on this picture. That's it. That looks pretty good to me. Notice I still have character in my face. I still have some of these defining wrinkles on my forehead here. I still have some of this darkness under the eyes. I didn't get rid of anything that would change or alter the way I look. I just adjusted it so that this is a good baseline of where I always look. So I'll show you a before and after. This is after. Here's before. It's kind of drastic, right? To me, maybe I took out a little too much under the eyes. So this is where I would go back in to underneath the eyes right here, and I would put a little bit of that back in. I like to meet with people and talk about this kind of stuff so we can adjust it in person so it's to your taste. I don't like to do anything and just say, oh no, that's the way it is. So I think maybe we'll put a little bit of that darkness back underneath the eyes. I think that's a little more reflective of me. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So before, after. Before, after. Don't be afraid to talk to your photographer or your retoucher about what you want and what you need. And always keep in mind, the person that's in this picture is the person that's expected to show up in the room for the audition. I hope you found this helpful. Follow me on Twitter. Check me out on Facebook. Let me know if there's something that I can talk about headshots that would help you understand them better.